Welcome back, everybody. ExpertTrader podcast hosted by ChartAddicts. We have Ken in the house today. Ken, do you want to introduce yourself to the traders at home?
Yeah. So it's actually good to meet you guys. My name is Ken Ibizugbe. Been trading for almost 5 years, going on to 6 in September. I'm 28 years old. Kind of really dive into how I really got started. It was actually from a really good friend of mine named Jay Pele. He's actually still trading, playing forex, if you guys probably are familiar with them, but showed me what was forex, and of course, I was at that time, I dropped out off my sophomore year in college, and I was part of network marketing at the time, but I was trying to find something that could actually works for me and that could actually fit to my lifestyle. And he showed me it, I did my research, and I was like, wow, this is truly amazing. I'm like, why are not enough people aware of this, potential skill set? So saw a skill set. I didn't see, like the bigger picture where a lot of people, they would come into it and they're like, oh, you could make so much money. Like, I looked at it from a different point of view, that if I actually put my hard time and sacrifice to this, potential skill set, that, this will actually pay me for the rest of my life, and duplicate that. So had my journey. I had my ups and downs. I was, still, working a 9 to 5, but I was more excited about not just only working a 9 to 5, that I could actually use the income to actually fund my trading account, which I did. I worked about almost like 12 jobs, got fired by almost like 11 out of most of them. So I was this type of person. I was more proud. I was always proud to say that about collecting my last paychecks, my last paychecks and my current paycheck. So when I did that, I took that opportunity. I joined IML the first time when it was only like $500 to join it. So it was just only when they had the marketing side to it, and then everyone was just finding out about forex. So I got involved. I remember it was yesterday. I hopped on to Christopher Terry's live session, and I was trading the London session. And this was when I was on the East Coast, when I was living in Boston, because that's where I lived majority of my life. And tuned in, and I made almost about $200. And I was like, oh wow, this is remarkable. Like the fact that you could really make money off your smartphone. But as the company was growing, it was more diving into the marketing side, and that was kind of like my turn off it. But when I realized that, it was just like, all right, perfect. You know what? I'm going to step back, like everyone that was young, they was just around like kind of like my age at the time, just, excited about the marketing side, blah, blah, blah. But it was just like, yeah, that's great, but I want to have the skill set. So I left, started applying, getting like different, like, strategies, left and right, and I was just like, man, I did all the indicators, I was trying to find everything that could work, and it didn't, so I was just, on and off with jobs. I was trying to fill my account, blowing my accounts multiple times, to the point that I really had the breaking point, that I was mentally wise, that I was like, damn, it must not be just, all the indicators and strategies. It has to really tap in with the mindset. So I started looking everything, backwards. So I was just like, all right, if I'm going to be going and funding my account and I do blow it, I got to remove the emotion part and be like, all right, look, I'm happy. Like I tell my students now, if I blow like an account, I'm smiling, so you have to be in control of your mindset, because the more you have in control, the more that you're going to further yourself down the future. And I was just like, I had to sit back and really reflect on that, because I was like, wow, you can make all the money, that you want, you can blow all the accounts that you want, but like, how are you going to handle your mindset at that current moment?
That is really crucial. I really want to go back and touch on that in a little bit. how you were talking about building that muscle and how taking losses keeps pushing that bar higher and higher. I really want to go back and touch on that.
Yeah.
But guys, Ken is very humble. If you guys haven't been able to tell, Ken is the founder and CEO of Blue Capital FX, one of the most prestigious academies about forex in the country, and he is a multi-million-dollar trader. I really want you guys to keep that in mind. I know he's being very humble, talking about he's been trading for this many years. I just felt like I had to give you a proper introduction that way. Ken, you talked a lot about how you got started with trading. Now, can you describe yourself to people at home? Can you describe yourself as a trader? You're short-term? Are you an aggressive trader? Are you swing? How would you describe your
it's a really interesting question. I get this all the time. I'm more, because I do give out trade ideas, so I'm more giving out the trade ideas as a day trader. But personally, I love being a swing trader. I just feel like that's where you really capitalize the most of the momentum of the market. I'm only trading on one session. So like I'm only trading during New York session, up to 2 hours, and then I'm done. I don't like really hovering around the charts how I used to before when I was creating a whole free value of all blue zone. Man, I was a complete hawk on the charts, between the whole London and New York, and then, probably even a little bit of Asian session. And then that's when I will actually take a power nap, what I like to tell everyone. But now since, I've, grown throughout the years and, seeing the chart time multiple times, seeing, the potential setups, that repeats itself over and from time to time. I just focus that, on my pair for New York. It's just where I really solidify myself on the pairs I'm looking at. So, and then keep it simple. I know what works for me. Some people want to tap in and trade in a London session, but, that's the good thing about forex, because you actually discover what kind of trader that you are, and what you want to be. So,
okay, that's really good. It's like through experience, you kind of figure that out.
Yeah, through experience. That's what I tell everyone. Like, yeah, you might come in, you might have like the best mentor, you might have, the person that has like the best strategy out there that clicks for you. But like, yes, you still gonna have to have that experience behind it. No matter if you have the best knowledge at that time, you're still gonna have to have the experience of the losses, the wins, how you carry emotions, when you should, secure your profits. Like that's all a journey that you have to create within yourself.
Awesome. All right, really, you touched on a lot of things which keep giving me more and more questions.
Sure. I have all day, so
that's awesome. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with us. Seriously. But you said you're trading one session now. You're trying to keep it simple, a few hours on the chart, then you're done. Mm-hmm. When did that shift happen for you? Was it gradual? Was it at like a 2-year point, 1-year point? You kind of flipped the switch. How did that journey look like for you?
I'll say after when I first started my company, I was just doing basically everything from just trading in London and New York, and I was losing a lot of sleep. So I think right when I had my first 50K day, that's when I was like, okay, now I got to realize, all right, I got to transition just to only having it in one session, because I feel like, market conditions always change, especially when Donald Trump being elected changed a lot. I know when I was trading when Obama was, during president, volatility was more there in London, but then, since Donald Trump has been elected, New York has been tremendous. That's where a lot of our USD pairs in, and I see where he's trying to improve on everything is, make the U.S. economy the best, which is understandable. So and that's where you got to play along that, where market conditions is where the money's going to be. So after I hit my first 50K day, then I transitioned just to only trading New York. And then from there, it just kind of really stuck by it. And then I just kind of loved it. And it's funny because when I was living in Boston, I was only trading London session. I hated New York because, just due to the time difference.
Okay. Was it because of the volatility, or you said because of the time difference? Okay.
It was the volatility. And then of course, like if, trading London around Boston time is around like 11:30. So like I'll already be knocked out by just trading like, a few hours of London, and then miss like a couple of the good, amazing moves during in New York. So, but since moving down to AZ has been, everything's a little bit slowed down. You could have to take time to wake up and, do your thing and get it done.
That's a really good insight how that time shift is
Oh
affecting.
yeah. Oh
Something
yeah.
that probably people don't talk about a lot because they're always talking about, okay, New York session. They're talking about
Mhm.
East Coast traders, maybe Central America. If they're talking about London session, they're assuming most of the traders are around these time zones. It's really not like that. Most of the
Yeah.
traders I deal with are from neither of those. And so
Yeah.
that's really important that you brought that up. I
Oh
appreciate it.
yeah. Most definitely.
Now let's touch up on all blue zone. Those of you guys who don't know, Ken
Oh
can
man.
provide a lot of free value. Used to be a huge contributor to the forex space, to just giving out this value. All blue zone, cracking blue screens left and right, which is I want you to explain how that led to blue cap. So can you explain a little bit how all blue zone came out? How did that turn into what you have now?
Oh man. Man. Hi. All Luzon gave me really good memories. Like I actually was it started off just like, I created a whole free Telegram. This is when I was like this is when I came back to IML the second time. And I didn't want to just come back and, bring and recruit a lot of people. I wanted to actually, help as much people as possible that joins my team and providing that, value from time to time. So when I came back for the second time, I was giving out, great, amazing calls. A lot of people that were with me made almost close to almost 6, 7, even close to 8 figures with me. I was trading everything, like every pair in sight. I wanted to test out every volatile pair, exotics, commodities, everything. So, and, just took full advantage of the market. So, so I was on trial to be on the whole swipe trades for IML, and I did really pretty well on my first 2 weeks. Catching was about 2,000 plus pips just on currency pairs alone. I did that. And then from there, there was just a lack of communication. So then that's when I kind of really just stopped and just focused and gave all my efforts to all blue zone. And then I was doing it for a whole year. I was giving out trade ideas. I was actually educating on people on what was the index of pairs that correlates to what. So giving that free knowledge at the time. And then from there, I was catching a lot of pips. And that's when a few people that was a part of it suggested I should actually start mentoring people. So, and that was something that I was like I could give out trade ideas, that's fine, but to actually mentor people, because I had a strategy, but it worked for me. So, I tried it, so I started really low. Like I started for like 150. Like I was not trying to, break people's pockets. I know there's a lot of people that's mentoring, charging, almost someone's, monthly rent. But I was looking out for everyone. And then it started from there, and it gradually, and then was like, hey, you gotta get this mentorship from Ken, blah, blah, blah. He's gonna make everything, easy to understand in the markets. So from there, I was carrying a good amount of weight. I had a good amount of testimonials. I was able to gain trust within the forex community. People knew who I was. So that made me lead to start my first company called Blue Capital FX. And I had 2 business partners at the time. I had no idea when it came to the business. You wouldn't ask me. I would not know what to create an LLC, like all that, bank account. Like I was just like, no, you put me in front of a computer on the charts. That's where I really truly excelled at. And that was my golden platform. But as we grew, I think our first month, we closed out almost 89K in sales. And then that remainder of the 6 months, we closed out almost about 240K. So really not bad for my first company rodeo, but just I had, bad business partners, at the time, they saw the money coming in, they let the greed get the best of them. So it was kind of hard for me at the time to really let go of that, because this is my first company. It's not something that I just created overnight. I build in a good amount of people that, that truly respect me. So and at that time, I had to do what was best for me at the end of the day, but also try to give back, what was really going on within the company, best way that I can with the information I had. And then, what people didn't know is that, while I was trading, given the percentage wise within the company, I was still trading. Like, like I always like to prepare myself for the worst. So I knew like this is my first company. I spoke with this with my mom, people that are close to me. They're like, hey, look, just always make sure you have a backup plan. Like, just in case like things, go the opposite direction. So which I did. And I was actually glad. Yeah. So my mom really knows, like she's also an entrepreneur herself, but so she told me, and when stuff actually hit the fan, I was just like, wow, like, I'm not gonna let this hold me back. I'm not gonna allow anyone to continue what the vision that I have for the company and what I want to provide for a lot of people. So after 7 days later, I started Blue Capital Academy. And everyone's like, oh, damn, like, is he gonna, continue where he left off? Like, like the pressure's all on him, like everything's all on me now. So I knew this was going to be a challenge within myself, because not only that I provide the live sessions, I gave out the trade ideas, I'm teaching, I'm doing one-on-ones. I was putting a lot of the work ethic on my behalf. And I also had previous educators on the platform from the start, from the previous company, and that brought the same ones, but it was just like, what? I just got to do this by myself. Like, at the end of the day, like, you guys are going to be a representation of me. And if anything goes bad, everyone's going to point the finger at me. So yeah. I had to hold myself responsible for the stuff that I do, and then see what I could fix and move forward. So, and I did that. Did a good amount of sales. The month of July was probably the most toughest year I've probably had ever in my trading. Like, I had the worst month. All my trades was hitting stop loss. I was losing customers. I lost almost close to 200 customers at that whole entire month.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had a lot of people that were talking and giving shade behind my back, and it was just like, damn. Like, I felt like I was in a corner of a room and I had no light. Like, it was just like, man, like I helped a lot of people, and it's just like everyone's throwing shit at me now. Like, yep. And I never wanted to say that I was the best trader. I always tell people all the time, people always refer me as the GOAT. Like, you're like, I'm not. My response is always going to be, I'm just, a humble black man living a typical dream. Like, so, and that's it. Like, I don't like to refer to any title, because I'm not, because I do have losses. I do have great wins, like, so I'm transparent as possible. And that kept me, moving forward. After that, I knew that I couldn't give up after that whole month. Like, I knew this is my first company that I could say that this is 100% me. And this is, now a lot of people have true success after their first company or even their second. So, I pulled through the mud, and I continued, and then I'm here, smashing a lot of people's yearly salaries and showed them our time frame. So, and it's good. Like, not only that most of my students realize, but they watch me while I'm doing it with them at the same time. So, we all went together.
Yeah, that transparency is honestly one of the biggest keys. There's a lot of great things about your company, especially some of the things you noted, like the responsibility of the growth. You really wanted to make sure that people were getting that information, how you kind of took charge. When the team loses, the coach takes the blame. When the team wins, the players get the credit.
Yep.
And so that's the sign of a great leader. You were kind of out there doing that. Really, just honestly, a very impressive story, the ups and downs. And honestly, the mentality is probably one of the most impressive things, how you had that losing month, 200 members leave, and you still decide to pull up the hunger and keep that going. So really impressive. And if it's any consolation, you are the GOAT. But you're a very impressive trader. Let's get straight into some more questions about trading specifically.
All
I know
right,
a lot of the audience is going to be traders.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked a little bit about yourself. You do enjoy swing trading because that's where most of the pips are, but you've obviously mastered many time frames because of your experience in the markets. Let's see. Where did you have a goal for trading, or did you have a goal for trading when you first started? So you touched up on you wanted to keep taking this further because you saw your own potential. But when you first picked up this trading skill and you saw that potential in there, did you see your potential, or did someone come along and show you potential? How did that work?
Yeah, I definitely saw like my potential of just really excelling it. Like when people like always hit me with like, yeah, like how did you feel when you hit your first 100K day? And it was just like it wasn't truly exciting for me because like with me, I'm such a long-term thinker that I already accomplished it mentally. So like when I got there and physically being in that presence, like like I'm being humble and I'm being very grateful, but I'm not going to be satisfied because my journey is still continuing. I'm just paving a chapter to my own book. So, and then that's how I kept repeating it, the whole month of December of 2018. And then I just was like, wow, like, okay, if I could do it once and then I do it multiple times, and now this is a true skill set. But like I'm still a student till this day. Like I'm still obsessed. Like when I'm always on the charts, even after like the market's closed. Like I'm always back testing. I'm seeing where did I what was wrong with my entry points? Like, like how could I improve, like how could I improve being more patient? So that's what it really comes down to. So like I never want to say like, yeah, did you see myself as being great? I already knew that I was going to be great until I saw the skill set, because it desired me. It gave me like a full passion, a desire, like, and there were people that were just during my journey, they're like, yo, bro, like you're always on the damn charts. And I'm like, yeah, like I had my, my darkest moments, like, in a trap room bumping Drake, and it was dark. Like, I was on the charts and I was back testing, I was studying, I was trying to figure out what works for me. And I just kept continuing the work ethic behind it. So it's good. Like I really encourage a lot of people that, like you want to see yourself great, but like how much time are you going to put yourself to being great? That is going to be a huge question.
So would you say that you were obsessed?
Yeah, I was obsessed. I was obsessed, like I was never into, the financial markets. I felt like it was confusing as hell. Like I didn't know what, when it came to like even diving into the stock market. I knew that it was hot. It was very high capital for you to get involved with. But as from time to time, like I'm obsessed, finding out, like reading our economy. Because I feel like, just, reading on the fundamental side, they do give out codes. And if you know how to actually understand what they're talking about, then you know when to buy and when to get out. So, and I always want to be knowledgeable when it comes to things like that. So.
All right, really? Okay, we're definitely going to touch back up on the fundamental side.
Yeah. No, I definitely have more on that aspect. So.
Yeah. All right, I'm not going to go too deep into it. Just kind of like how you use it, etc. But two things I really want to know. I'm going to ask this one later. It's going to be the timeline of you starting trading to you getting to the point of success to you gradually building on that success. How long was that period? But let's talk about, you were talking about you're always a student. So let's hear one of the biggest lessons that you've learned, either about yourself or about the world or about trade or about whatever. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from trading, and what's the biggest lesson that you've learned lately being in your position?
My biggest lesson I learned from trading, it's definitely seeing it like from a whole different perspective. Like, yes, you could have, a good amount of, like, for example, like in a big account size, and people like always asking like, how much money could you put into your account to trade? You can start with any amount, but you got to start using that risk management portion, which is very important. But like what I always like to tell my students all the time is that it's very different when you have, like, for example, like 3K that's sitting on the table from 3K that's in your MT4 account. Because once you have that 3K, you could physically grab it and take it away and be like, I'm content, I'm not greedy, I got my money, I'm all set. Rather than trading it and you're over leveraging and you're not being in control of what the money that's presently in your account. So that taught me a lot, and that took me like a whole year to grasp, because like I was always the type of person, I wanted to be aggressive when I first started trading. I wanted to come up. I had the mindset that I'm going to turn this to that with no awareness of what my own trading plan, So I eliminated that, and I was like, stop being greedy. The money is always going to be there. You're already in a better situation to the person that doesn't know about Forex. So you should be grateful that you actually are participating in the most largest industry, right? And could make someone's yearly, paycheck in a week, in a month, 3 months, like, so like you have that capability. And I find it so hard for like a lot of people is because that's when their experience has to kick in. You have you have to be, you know, safe with it, but like you also could secure a lot if you actually do have a great trading plan.
Okay, so, awesome. Yep. A lot of great tips there. Floating equity is not secured until you pull it out. It's not real until you wallet. And then have patience for that long term and have that long term vision. Don't be out here risking it all just for some quick cash. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned lately? Let's say somewhere in your shoes, people think that you've kind of hit the top of the pedestal and there's nothing else to learn. What would be a
the biggest I would say is that just because you know you were able to make a lot of money, that shouldn't stop you from continuing. Like, you know, like, yes, you've made that. It's a great accomplishment. It's awesome. People want to have that. But like, I look at it from the point of view that I have to lead, you know, in a way, just because like, you know, I'm not going to be the typical person that's just going to be like, okay, he makes 300K in a day, he's going to buy something materialistic. Like, no, like I'm actually going to I use the majority of my capital to actually buy into more passive income or more revenue income that's going to be coming back, like, you know, and that is going to be my play money that I spend. Like, I don't ever even touch like my trading money, or even barely I even make withdrawals. Like, you know, I just keep it in separate trading accounts, and which accounts I actually want to tap into for that week. So like, I keep myself organized, and I treat this as a profession, because if I do for a scenario blew one of my accounts, guess what? I still have my other account as an option. So I'm always having a backup plan in the most hardest skill set to have. So yeah, my biggest tip is just that you make a lot of money, be humble, you know, you could lose all that and just in one trade. Like, you know, you could be sloppy, you know, you could be like, you never want to be caught up. And that's the one thing I refuse to be, is always to get myself caught up, you know? So I don't allow the money to change who I am. You know, it's just a tool at the end of the day to give you more possibilities and opportunities. So,
wow, now this is some priceless information, Ken. Thank you for sharing. Here's something that I've been wondering a lot of our traders ask. These are kind of the frequently asked questions. Is what do people have wrong about the markets? Obviously, I'm rephrasing this, but what do people get wrong about? What is the biggest misconception out there? You see all the time. Obviously, the social forex sphere has created a lot of misconceptions. They see the Lambo, they see the girls, whatever.
Yeah.
What can you say about the biggest misconceptions that you see?
I feel like a lot of people get so enticed by the materialistic things. Like, you know, they feel like, you know, if, you know, for example, I'm not going to throw shade on this, but like you have, you have people they'll put forex trader in their bios, and then automatically they assume like they know what they're talking about. But when you ask them to actually break down a chart, you know, they're giving you the, you know, the loop around, you know, the roundabout. So like, you know, there's no credibility there. Like, you know, like, yes, for the people that be like, oh yeah, you know, and actually, I'm actually drop this tip too. So for the people that actually trading KOT or even Hughes way, if you guys are trading at a demo account and you do see people that are trading at a demo account, so what they do is that brokers, they have a specific 4-number entry at the beginning of the take profit target. So you could know if they're trading a real account or a demo account. Yep. So I know KOTs right now is like 300. I think it's like around 300 right there for the first numeric number. But but if you look at the demo account, it's completely different. So then you're gonna know who's really, you know, faking it, you know, trying to get, you know, people to sign up for their signals and this and that. So like, I do see it from time to time. I have people that take my identity. Like, I have people charging. So like, I don't get offense to it anymore as I initially from the beginning, but it's just like, look, you know, I just take it as if people can't beat you, they just want to try to beat you, like, you know. But for the people that
imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah. So like, you know, you rather would just want to go to the source if that person's trying to beat another person. So like, you know, I saw that from time to time, and I was just like, hey, this person's copying this person, I'm just gonna go to the main person. You're just driving that person more traffic. But
definitely. But
yeah, but a lot of people shouldn't get caught up by you know, the Lambos, this and that. That's, you know, you never know. People are renting those Lambos. You know, I've seen it. You know, I personally wouldn't do it. If I'm going to get a Lambo, I'm just going to buy it. Like, you know, like, I'm not going to just be the teaser to to faking and getting people's attention, because like at the end of the day you're trying to be someone else that you're not. So
Yep. All right, no, that's great. That's definitely good. Let's touch back up on that timeline for you. So the time when you started trading, when it clicked, when things took off to where you are now, and then we'll get to the quick fire round after that.
Yeah. So started basically when I dropped out of my sophomore year. Then got involved. My whole first year was a lesson. I wasn't expecting to make so much money or even to make a dime, because it was very confusing. Like, like when to buy, when to sell. So that was like an issue that, I had to really, take into consider that, like, all right, this is going to be a very long-term skill set to maintain. After my 2 to 3 years, beginning to see some profits, of course, losing, blown accounts. The ending of my entering my third year, that's when I actually broke my ceiling and was like, okay, like now this is starting to click. Then the ending of my third year, that's when I immediately blew up. And then that whole third year, I was giving out the whole year, giving out that creating all blue zone, and building up my name. So I was basically building a community first, giving free value first, because I knew that at the long term, that if I wanted to establish a company, I had to build a community first. I had to build trust. I had to, create my own name, So when I did so, I would say it was more easier to establish a company where I could just have people that know me and they're already rocking, and, I got their loyalty from there. So, and that really helped a lot, because if I didn't do it, then establishing that company would have been very, very tough. I would have had to prove myself from out the gate of what I provide, rather than, if I didn't create a whole community, then it would have been a whole different story. But that all blue zone, which, I'll forever be grateful for that. Just that free value that I was able to do for people, because that really paved basically who I am as a person. I was sacrificing a lot of sleep for people. I wasn't asking anyone for a damn dime. I think that was a time when I was actually, I was staying at one of my friend's house, and I couldn't live there because the environment was just so bad. So I had to live with my brother, and I was literally living in a house of 6 guys, trading in a computer. Trading in a kitchen. And I was basically kind of like sleeping on the couch, and then my brother would go to work and I'll go and sleep. And that's when I was really giving all those calls, the mentorships, and that's how it all started. So, and, it transitioned to how I am now, just being humble, because, I don't always like reminisce those times, but I remember those times. So like, and just being how I got to where I am now.
I'm really impressed about how you managed to balance so many things in trading. Because a lot of the excuses that you hear from traders is that I don't have the right space, the right environment, this, that. Yep. I'm really impressed at how you're managing. I know you're big into bodybuilding. I know you have blue cap, and I know that you're also a trader and you're very prominent. I know that you also do your own podcast. What do you think separates you? What do you think allows you to be able to do all these different things and still be able to manage trading? Or what helps you do that?
I feel like bodybuilding also played a role. Like, I was always that skinny kid. My brother, I made fun of him. He was the fat kid. And then he proved me wrong. So I was watching him, proving me wrong. And I'm over here was just an athlete my whole entire life. So I never really worried about that. But as he lost weight, and then he started building muscle, and then he kept building muscle. And I was like, all right, okay, now – when we went out, people were asking me who's the older brother, and it's just like, okay, so I took initiative. And
so this is your younger brother?
Yeah, so my younger brother. That kind of gave me that motivation. He was telling me, he's like, bro, just hit the gym. So I started doing that, and it also played a role when it came to trading, like, because I know both of those two aspects, play a very big role when it comes to discipline. And I knew that I was just like, man, so if I'm able to, be patient and get the results, like, I know I'm not going to get this, right away. And the same thing, how I look at it as trading, I could actually, strengthen the two industries, to my full advantage, because I already have the mindset. So like, and that transitioned pretty well. And then just starting like the whole podcast, like, A lot of people tell me, it's like, hey, like you have a great voice for, I just know how to be myself. Like I tell people I have no comfort zone. I'm not scared to ask, a question. I'm not scared, to answer anything. I love and have a habit of breaking people's comfort zones. So everyone that, that joins into my academy and where I'm teaching, I don't make teaching boring. I make it fun. I make fun of everyone that's on my calls. I make fun of myself. So, it's a win-win on both sides. So, and I just take it as, I carry that energy of always being positive all the time. Even if I'm not positive, like, that's when I feel like, I'm recollecting my thoughts and how I could improve like the following day. So, but yeah, I just have the passion, like I just love to provide as much value, and, who knows if that taps into a person at that current moment, then great, I did my part.
No, for sure. Wow. That's really good. We're going to get to a quick fire round. These are things that I usually ask guests, and these are things that most of the people want to know, because this is where I want to get to the conflicting information stuff.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier about how there's a lot of misinformation out there, especially because of people trying to sell courses online. And so there's a lot of conflicting information about stop losses, withdrawals, stuff like that. So do you or do you not use stop losses when you trade, Ken?
Oh yeah, I do. Most of you guys know that I do trade the index pairs. So I'm like my students know, I'm usually focused on giving out a lot of trailing stop loss for the index, but for any of like currency pairs, I am giving out stop loss. That's very crucial. It only makes sense. You have to protect your account. But the most crucial thing, if you don't want to be using a stop loss, is that focus on waiting for the market to come to you. Don't ever chase the market. Let it come to you. So you have that entry, and that's your reward to yourself. So and then you're able to place the trailing stop loss. And I like to tell my students, set it and forget it. So and then you could allow it to ride. If it comes back and hits your trailing stop loss, great. You secured money, then nothing. So that is the end goal. Even though if it's like $5 or even $10, if you're trading on a small account, doesn't matter. That's more than someone that's not involved in trading. And the more you have that adapted mindset, the more you're always going to be consistent. And people feel like you need to be consistent if it's hitting your take profit. No, it's not. Because at the end of the goal, if you have your account traded to your My FX book, people, if you're showing that to a potential client or someone that's been looking and want to see your history, guess what they're going to see? They're going to see your percentage, and it's going to be great. So like create your own track record so you could prove. You don't need to prove your balance and your withdrawals. You could show your percentage, how much you've grown your account.
You guys heard it from an expert trader himself. Protect your accounts, risk-adjusted returns better than whatever, make pretend returns that we're trying to get. Let's talk withdrawals. Ken, do you have a quick guide for withdrawals that you use or that you used to use? A quick 30, 40, 20 thing, or like a withdraw every Friday? What is your thing about withdrawals?
I feel like if you make like I have like a lot of students, especially when they never handled and that's common to a lot of people that have started off if, for example, you take like a great signal and it hit for like a good amount of pips and you've never had a type of balance. I like to tell, withdraw half of it, and take a quarter out of that actual withdrawal that hits your wallet. So, and then you could transfer it into another account and then take that sum that you need. You don't need all of it. And then you're just going to be back to the scoreboard again. You don't need all of it. Take partial to probably just pay your bills. That's at the end of the day. You just want your bills to be paid. Cool. Then you have now 2 accounts. So you focus on your bigger one, and then you grow that out for that following week. You take a portion, create it into a third account. And that's how you're going to have accounts leverage from every withdrawal. And then also you're saving taxes as well. Because if you're withdrawing big, like I don't even do that. Like I don't even withdraw like a big account with a big amount, because then you're going to have to pay the tax difference on that. So like the smaller the withdrawal, the smaller, the less of a cost that you're saving for your taxes. And, and then that's how you win.
God, that is priceless advice. Appreciate that heads up. All right. Risk management. What is your deal about risk management? If somebody is, for a beginner versus somebody that's a little bit more experienced, putting in an account size and really trying to run it up aggressive versus non-aggressive, what is your deal with risk management, or what would you advise your students?
Yeah, I say like 1 to 3% that you want to be risking on your account. But as your account grows and it gets bigger, you could start to able to risk more between 1 to 6. But like starting off, like into it's like up to like at least 6 figures. That's when you want to increase your risk more because then you have more of the wiggle room. But I always tell everyone, you don't lose by going from 1 to 3%, because then you're also protecting your account. You're getting the return that you want to get. If it doesn't hit your target, secure your profits. There's another day. There's more trade setups. So just got to be patient and keep reminding yourself. As for new people, I know it's exciting. The market's open. You feel like you need to get into every position. So, but let the market come to you, and then always focus on that 1 to 3%.
All right, awesome. 1 to 3% risk. Great tip. Let's talk fundamentals. So what role does fundamentals play into your trading? Do you pay attention to fundamentals? If so, how?
Oh yeah, I play crucial. I'm actually going to drop in a site. It's called FinScreener. So it's actually a great site for a lot of people that, if you guys are into majority of like trading, majority of a lot of the USD pairs, of the earning calls being positive or being negative, you're going to see actually companies' returns for the quarters.
And for all the traders at home, we'll post a link to that below in the description so you guys have access to that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So it gives you all the earnings reports of companies. If they had a good quarter, if they didn't have a good quarter. So marketwatch.com is actually a great one as well too. So following what the economy is actually displaying us with, for example, I think like last week we had the whole employment claims being up to like 3 million. Which still didn't make no sense of how everything was rising up when we had the most highest, but and that refers back into the technical analysis of what market structure is giving us. So like like last week was a very interesting week, but when it comes to the fundamental sides, if you really want to catch those big moves, that's where it really comes down to, of utilizing and understanding what the news is giving out, so then you can reap the benefit with your technicals.
Awesome. Really appreciate that. And then last fire round question. Now there is one final question at the end that I was dying to ask you. Wanted to save it for last, but this one is this is more of the fire round stuff. It's trading alone versus trading in a community or trading with a group. So some people are like, I don't like trading groups because it's a lot of noise, it's a lot of distraction. But some people, especially me, I've found that trading with a community gives you a sense of it just keeps trading from getting too boring. Yeah, it really can get monotonous. It really can. Yeah. Same strategy, same thing. So what is your take on that versus?
I definitely would agree with you. That's kind of the reason why I traded all blue zone. Like, to create a community where everyone can drop their analysis on what pairs, have feedback. Trading alone it's boring because it's you on the charts and that's it. Like, unless you have music playing in the background, but you have fun with people. I know some of my students that actually will get on their separate Zoom calls and they'll just look at charts together. Like, so creating a whole community establishment, it's more exciting than just, trading one-on-one. And then it defers to like what kind of personality that you have. If you just want to be isolated to yourself, which, completely respect that, whichever works. But I like having it fun. There are times when I have my New York sessions, we're all having fun. We're looking at news, and stuff like that. So it's fun waking up in the morning doing that.
For sure. All right, awesome. Definitely keeps it from getting boring.
Yeah.
The more you talk, Ken, the more I just have more questions to ask.
Yeah, let's go.
That comment that I made earlier, guys, I want to take that back if you guys are listening at home. 2 questions. Okay, so this one is just more general. Have you been doing anything differently since this whole coronavirus? Obviously, we've been kind of expecting a downturn for a while. But have you changed your strategy? Have you changed anything that you're looking at?
No, not everything it's been hitting my strategy pretty well. I had a great, amazing March. I think for the whole March, caught almost about 80,000 plus pips, just this month.
Wow.
So I think, tomorrow's gonna be like what, 31st. So, but nothing's really been changing. It's just, I've been seizing the market with opportunities that's been giving us, and it's truly been a reward. So.
All right, awesome. What are your top 3 or top 5 right now that you look at? You don't have to go through all of them, but just things, indices.
Yeah, so indices, like, I rate all of them. So I like to trade all of them. I love the British pound pairs, which I've been actually getting back to dabbling into. So I know I haven't been too much for this month, but yeah, and gold as well, commodities as well too. So
Yeah, so if you guys are at home, Ken likes wherever the action is.
yeah.
Right there to be in the middle of it. So I was actually introduced to Ken, I want to say a few years back. Something big had happened, and somebody had taken his course, and they were a good friend of mine, and they were just talking him up. And I went to go look him up, and this was after Ken. Was it after the 18 crash, that flash crash, when it was like a December, and you had come out with these giant profits, and what everybody else was losing?
Yeah.
Professional.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. That was that month
Professional
of
hedge
December.
funds were bleeding out. Markets were in a panic. European markets were in a panic. And all of a sudden, I see young trader, 27, 26 years old at the time,
Yeah.
make $700K in a month, while some of the smartest hedge fund managers were actually bleeding out at the time.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about that. Then I want to get to the most recent thing.
Yeah. It was actually my good friend Michael. He's also an educator for me. And we started. I honestly didn't start dabbling into indices until like the middle. It was kind of like around like my birthday on October, so October 23rd. And someone was like, "Hey, look, you should look into indices." And I think it was Michael that actually introduced me to it. I think I actually had one of my educators that was on it, but he was afraid of trading it, and I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, all right, let's see what I'm working with. So I got involved with it, and I'm like, okay, I was just using a penny lot size on it. I was just like, wow, this is crazy, like the crazy return out of this. Like, so I kept trading it. So I remember I believe I did it multiple times. I initially started off with a 70K account, and then I took that to 150. So then I was like, all right, cool. So then I made a withdrawal, and then I wanted to test it. So then I started off with 400, and then I turned that to 100K, and then I was doing it multiple times again, and then it was just like, man, I remember the biggest lot that I've ever used at that time was a $5 lot on US 30. And I remember like it was yesterday. I was gonna go take a shower, and I had a couple of my students at my apartment. And literally when I was gonna open the shower door, he was like, "Hey, look at US 30," and I'm like, I was literally up 30K in less than 4 seconds. Like I was like, oh my God. I was like just thinking about if that went the opposite direction. Like I was like, wow. Like so I immediately closed. And then that's when that whole month of December, like I was just giving out fire calls. A lot of people made money with me in that time, and it was just like it just kind of stuck. And then that's when I just continued to run with it. So and then I started looking at how the other indices actually correlate to each other. So and I was like, oh, this is over now. So from there, like yeah, that was like a really really big month. Like I was just like. The amount of people, that just wanted to join in and take my trade ideas at that time was just ridiculous. Like I was just like, it made me stop almost like not trading like other currency pairs, because I usually give out between like 8 to 10 pairs, stop loss entry points, chart, analysis on it as well too. And, but that completely changed. That whole month of December was just a whole different outlook to just, I was like, why should I trade any other pair? If I master this consistently, then it's great.
Okay, awesome. That's beast mode. That's beast mode. And another question I want to ask is, when you saw that 30K and you thought about it, this could have gone the other way, did it change how you trade US 30? Did you start adding different risk parameters, or
were you more
cognizant about not walking away from the charts or something like that?
Oh yeah, like I realized, like this is not a pair that you should be swing trading. This is not a swing trading pair. This is a pair that moves during one session, and if it's trading within the trend, you're trading it, and you're looking for where the market to actually come to you for entries, because the entries are so important, just due to the spread and how volatile it is. So, and risk management is ultimately the key. Like I tell people, I'm like, go ahead, you could place the lot size that you want, but it's gonna teach you. And I had a few of my students that, you know, they over leveraged, they used not the proper lot size, and they're like, yeah, I was up 800 and then I was down, you know, I lost all of it. I was like, great, congrats. Now you know how it feels. So like now you actually have that lesson behind it that you're never going to do that again. So like I tell people, you don't need to use the biggest lot size on it. Like even using a penny lot sizes continuously, even until you get to like, you know, 200, 300K account, you're still getting a good ROI, like, you know, so.
For sure. That's priceless. Last thing I wanted to ask you about recently, guys, mine got blown. We're out here doing our regular trading thing, just trying to make it through this market conditions, taking advantage of the volatility. I see this man, Ken, take $980.51 to 100K. Not only that, God, listen, blow 90 some odd K of it and then make it back again. Was it one time his luck, two times his skill? Ken, please explain how you did this.
It was funny because like, so I was telling my students, I was like, all right, so I'm going to turn this $985.51 to 100K, and I'm going to do it in 3 days. So everyone's like, oh, well, what the hell is going to happen here? Like, you know, so we want to see this. So as transparent as I am, I was posting the trade. So I gave out a couple of trades and then indices to everyone. And I took that $985.51, you know, to $5,000. So after I took that $5,000, and then I turned it up to $13,000. So then I turned that $13,000 into 32, and this is still in the same New York session. So I was just waiting for great entry setups and then to secure it. So I got it up to 32,000. So and then from there, I took that 32,000 and I got it all the way up to 60. And then from there, from 60, and then I got it. I was like, once it's at 60K, it's easy for me now. Like I'm only 40K away. So I got up to 40K. I got up to 100K. And then I was heading to, I used a $15 lot size on, I think it was a $5 lot size actually on UK 100. I was on my way going to the barber shop, and I was already in drawdown. Like I was in heavy, I was like probably at least like, you know, 30K drawdown. So I was like, oh no, it's going to come down. So I saw it still pushing out. I was like, oh, okay. So it margined me out at 92K. So I was like, wow. So I'm back at 25K. So I'm over here. All right, cool. So I wait for stocks to actually, you know, to move. And I got back in, and then I was reaping the benefit. And by the time I got to my office, so I got my hair cut almost around 2. And I was teaching, heading into the office. So my office I was teaching is at 7:30. So I got into a few trades, and then I got into a couple more before I was actually going to leave my apartment. And then right before I started my class session to teach my students, I showed everyone that was around me. I'm like, look, you see this balance here? I was negative 92K. See, I'm in floating profit for almost 86K right now. And then it kept pushing. I'm like, oh, look, I'm at 102K. So I lost that, you know, and then made it all back in less than 4 hours. So, and then I started teaching, and then I made the withdrawal just to show everyone, and everyone and all the students was like, I can't believe I just witnessed that, like just in 3 days, like, you know? So it was like, it wasn't like a personal challenge. It was just to sharpen what I have and what I've, you know, accumulated throughout the years of my skill set. So, and showing people like, damn, like you lost 92K. Yes, it was a proper silly mistake. I didn't even use the stop profit in there, and I knew I should have. But I made myself more of a workload if I didn't do that. If I did do that, but it was just to sharpen my skill set. And I've done this before. I've done it even with a $400 account. So like, but this was more of a shorter time frame. So, and seize the opportunity, you know, show the withdrawal, you know, and then just kept on moving forward. So,
all right, I really hope you guys enjoyed that story. That is one of a kind, honestly, extremely impressive. But let's say there's a few traders at home sitting at they're in their first 1 to 6 months of trading. They can't really relate to the bigger numbers. Now, obviously, this is, you know, I really appreciate you sharing those stories. That's what I wanted to get those out. But that trader sitting at home that's in their first to 6 months can't really relate to the bigger numbers. What is the top 3 advice or top 1 advice that you can give to a new or developing trader to kind of see that light at the end of that tunnel, to make it to the point where they can be consistent? They're sitting there thinking, maybe that can't ever be me. Making 100K, whatever, that can't be me.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person?
It could be anyone, but just you gotta first put that step one. I would actually, tell people that you're not the only one that's lost money. I've probably almost lost even close to like $1 million in total of my trading journey. So you gotta look at from the experience to your loss. So your losses is gonna give you the most greatest motivation to have that experience. So then you could actually be like, damn, I really did this, right? 2, you gotta put in a good amount of chart time. You gotta sacrifice. Like I remember, like I sacrificed a lot of like going out, going to the clubs, hanging out with girls, or talking to a lot of, pointless people that's not giving me no value in life, right? So you gotta eliminate the habits that has not been giving you the change or lifestyle that you currently want. And then 3, I would say is that you can't be greedy. At the end of the day, your MT4 account is your personal bank account. You have full control of how you want it to look like. So you could either make it big, you can make it small, you could withdraw. Like you are in full control. So
that's awesome. Ken Ibizugbe. Remember the name, guys. Ken, really appreciate you for getting on the podcast, my man. Incredible advice and incredible value. You guys are going to have to watch this 5 or 6 times back over and make sure you guys take notes because any single one of his answers could change your life. Ken, thank you again for coming on the Chart Addicts podcast.